Hi, I'm Graham. I'm from a publication called VentureBird. I'm a journalist, and I'm hoping to find some cool startups.
I'm with this guy. I really am. Now, my name's Matthew. I'm also with VentureBird, and yeah, we're here to find out what's new, what's happening.
My name's Jason. I work for a company called This Is Me. I'm here to find out more about TaxTim.
Hi, my name's Rashawn Comring. I work for an audit firm, and I'm here to network.
My name's Simon. I work for Sea Monster, and I'm here to see what's happening.
My name is Tefumi Olagoge, and I am representing the Uniform Exchange. We are a startup that came about by UCT Upstart. We're actually currently working on a social initiative. I came here to learn, to be honest. I'm not really sure exactly what I came here for. I'm just keeping an open mind and hoping to, get some good insights on how to actually start up a business properly.
My name is Sinikaya Manlia, and I'm the founder of this timepiece here called Sneza Timepiece, inspired by Africa and its people. And I'm a UCT student, a third year social work student from UCT, and I came here today to sort of learn more information about business, get to understand different aspects of business, and in terms of how you run a successful business, from a startup project up to a business that is successful and makes a lot of profit and being able to solve social issues in our country.
So, Evan and Marc started TaxTim in, I think, 2011 about. And interesting fact, Evan has won the best web developer in 2012, I think. 2001, there we go, 2001, by Telkom in South Africa. I think it was pretty impressive. He's also won a science fair at school, like the science fair nationally. We're going to have some brain buffers. You're going to see how he's dressed now. And also, Marc has also managed to, he has the biggest collection of waving queens. So this is going to be an interesting interview. Guys, can you please stand? There we go, on your feet. Very American. Give us a stand. Give us a massive round of applause for none other than Marc and Evan. Woo! There you go, guys.
Hey,
welcome.
How are you doing?
Very good.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for coming. All right. Let's get these questions going.
Well, hi everyone.
Switch this off. Guys, thank you so much. I love the jacket. I'm sorry.
Thanks.
That is just, that's awesome. Right? Give the guy a round of applause for such a jacket. It must be the best line. So I told them, guys, just come make a nice, like cool entrance, and they brought it. So guys, thank you very much for coming, taking up your time as well to chat to us tonight. We're going to start off just quickly, 60 seconds for our international viewers as well. What is TaxTim and what's it about?
So imagine if doing your tax return was as easy as having a conversation. TaxTim is the world's first digital tax assistant who helps you do your own tax return with confidence, quickly, easily, and correctly. TaxTim combines the ease of online filing with expert assistance from a tax practitioner, something you won't find on e-filing. TaxTim asks simple questions one by one in a language that anyone can understand, and then fills in your tax return instantly like that, and submits to SARS with a click. TaxTim is available online whenever you need them, taxtim.com. If you have a Smart Shopper card, you get 20% off. Terms and conditions apply.
Best elevator pitch.
That was brilliant, guys. Good applause. There we go. Thank you so much. Okay, so tell us right at the beginning, why did you guys start TaxTim?
I was age 27. It was time for me to start doing tax returns. I'd managed to ignore them until that point. And I thought, okay, I have to finally do something about this. So I sat down at the SARS.gov website and found their strange, arbitrary photocopied PDFs, their 120-page document, which is a photocopy of a scan of a photocopy of a scan, and was trying to work through this to work out, how do I do this thing that every single person in South Africa has to do, but has no idea how to do it. They don't know where to start. And I found it completely confusing and stressful and annoying and painful, as I'm sure you guys have experienced at least once. SARS is not known for their customer service. So I went to go see Marc, who was my friend at the time.
I came to see you, and I am still your friend.
Still friends.
Keep forgetting that.
Still get along. And all Marc did was ask me a couple of simple questions. He explained things to me, and we had a conversation. And then that evening, I filled in my own tax return, and I was like, this is pretty magical. What if I could take everything that Marc knows, not his puns or knowledge of the Queen, and put it into a website so that everyone can have their own tax man whenever they want.
Yeah,
and that's what TaxTim is.
Yeah, and I mean, we thought about it and see what could we do. We saw that Google were launching the first incubator into Cape Town, and we signed up to see as an idea. And who would have thought that 5 years later, Google accepted us, we went through their program, and here we are, 5.5 years later, after meeting some really, really interesting people through Google and along the journey.
Just note, Marc is the accountant without the jacket.
And he's got the flashy jacket.
Okay, so actually, when you got into Google, I believe you guys actually got kicked out of Google.
Yeah, that was interesting. So after about 3 months, we fulfilled our milestones, and it was kind of put to us that we fulfilled our milestones too quickly, so we should have been working harder. So it's sometimes not good to always meet your milestones at the right time, but we were asked to leave the program. It was a 3-month coming to 6 month, which was probably the best thing that ever happened to us.
Yeah, well, I mean, the main reason we left is because one of the investors suggested that we launch in another country, and we had designed this for South Africa with South African concerns, South African knowledge. There's really no reason to launch in Germany before here. And he was like, oh, it must be Germany. And we were like, we don't agree with that. And he was like, oh, you should leave then. We're like, okay.
Yeah.
So you guys had your vision, you knew your target market, you knew what you were building, and you decided, even though you were going to get kicked out of the Ubono project.
We didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know that? No. You were like, no, I'm not going to listen to my investors, my advisor. I'm going to do what's best for what your company is. And you guys are still going today.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If you know what you're trying to achieve, and someone comes along, even an investor or an advisor, and says to you, you should be pivoting or looking somewhere else, that's not a bad idea. You'll get there. But in the first few months of an idea of a company, you kind of have to stick to what you're doing. Otherwise, you're going to be all over the place. So it was definitely worth it. As I said, it was the best move their best move that ever happened for us.
It forced us to grow up really quickly, because being part of Google makes you feel very magical. You feel like you're suddenly, you could be a button on Google homepage. You could be that excited. Yeah. Obviously, we weren't. But yeah, it was a quick kind of reality check. We had to actually become a real business that year in 2012.
So when you were kicked out, did the funding go as well, or did you manage to, was there any funding? How did that?
Yeah, so it was a split funding. So you had 3 months, and then you go through the milestones, and then another 3 months. So the second promised 3-month funding went away. We were fortunate. Eventually, Google kind of put their bit of money in afterwards, which would help for AdWords. They felt bad, and we went after some tearful moments, and kind of our life is over, and you get rejected.
Went to Marc's house and cried.
Yeah,
and
pretty much. Yeah,
got over ourselves.
Says it better. And then I think the best advice that was ever given to us, and kind of we went to ask for advice. And kind of what we've learned is if you ask for advice, you get money. If you ask for money, you get advice. And that worked out very well. So we managed to get some small, tiny investment, but that kind of set us on our way.
And it's allowed you guys to not take salaries, but at least pay what needed to be paid and keep you guys for runway, allow you to build up your business. Was there a point where you needed to suddenly ramp up things and you needed more money? How did you handle not having much money in the beginning?
Yeah. So I mean, the way I've started a few businesses before, and the way that I've always approached it, which is different to Marc, is to not take on funding and to kind of rather build a tiny business model which does work, and then watch that snowball once you have got it to work. But that approach is extremely really slow. It's hard to do it that way. Yeah. Which is kind of sometimes you see startups who are flashy and exciting, and maybe exit and sell quickly, but don't have a revenue model. To me, it's more important to build that revenue model and see it grow and become something significant.
So it's sort of slowly, were you guys doing side projects while this started out, or were you 100% dedicated to TaxTim?
We're 100%, but obviously to make a bit of extra revenue,
you find ways.
Yeah, you find ways, or you lose a lot of weight.
Was there a work-life balance in the beginning?
What life?
No, I don't think so. I must say, in the first 3, 4, 5, 6 months, I actually had a full-time job, which luckily was less of a full-time job. But I was doing both, and I mean, evenings I was spent building TaxTim.
Excellent employee.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I could. It was a good enough job. But then you kind of just you start to see your business, and you just have to devote, and then sort of that salary cut from nothing to that it pushes you. Yeah.
So, how did you guys in the early days build up credibility?
So I mean, that was one of the initial problems for us in the beginning is, why would anyone trust us in a world where there's a free competitor provided by government? Why should anyone, care that we exist or visit our homepage or, sign up and give us, the most complicated things about their tax life? So we kind of came up with a strategy of how we should do it. And the first thing we did was, I mean, this came about completely by chance.
Yeah,
you were visiting UCT.
Yeah, I went to visit one of my old lecturers, chatted to her about what we were doing, and she just kind of dragged me down to the tax department and said to the lecturer that you have to use this. This will save you time because it's automatically marked and it's something that you want to teach your students. So we were able to kind of build from that because it's good cash, it's good credibility. Tax students were going to hear of us, and kind of we could say universities are using TaxTim, and that's
to teach
tax,
right?
Exactly, yeah. So that worked really well. And it's a good. I think a bit of advice there is that if your revenue product, your main product, is taking a bit of time, look for something else that you can do at the same time to get the kind of cash in that you need as to work your business.
I mean, it was totally an experiment. I didn't think it would work out. I was like, Marc, why must I build this? It sounds horrible. But suddenly it's exploded into 10,000 students, 12 universities, and it's actually what keeps us going outside of tax season. Because
for now,
okay, that's the next question. Is tax is a seasonal thing, so how do you actually manage that process? The answer being that you're going to do these other things, but are there other things that you do to be able to get an income the entire time?
So yeah, I mean, so we looked at different things about how to do that. Obviously, as you said, like an individual tax return is done once a season, but so the university work kind of looked at different options of where can we earn extra income, people asking questions, engaging with our users more, and then at the same time, whilst building all of that, developing what we can bring on, what we're going to launch in the next few months, is how to earn revenue outside of the individual season, kind of build the business. But as Evan said, you kind of have to get to a core product which is good, instead of just launching a whole lot of other things and kind of none of them work.
we did run Google ads as well, shamefully.
Google ads works. It works.
Yeah.
The system does work. Yeah.
But I mean, another strategy we took was to try to build up kind of micro conversions outside of tax season. Okay. So you may not be interested in doing your tax return, but jump onto the mailing list and we'll tell you when tax season opens or closes, or get some information, and then later on we can trigger an actual conversion.
So do you find that you have to be communicating all the time with your clients and partners? And
it's very much SARS. We want to be the tax helper, tax kind of system for the taxpayer, and SARS never does any of that. So whatever they do badly, we do well, and communication and engagement throughout the year is exactly what we do. And then people are active on the site throughout.
But it is slightly challenging to make it interesting throughout the year.
We have a calculator.
It's tax, right? Yeah. It's tax.
Yeah.
It's not, I mean, surprisingly though, you kind of, well, it happens to me, wherever I go, someone will say, what do you do? And I generally try not to talk about what I do, because then people start asking tax questions. Or if I listen in conversations, and ears are always like, someone says tax or capital gains, and my ears like jump around. No one's asked for that yet. But it happens all the time. People talk about it, and then they find out what I do, and then the whole evening turns into that. So it can be a bit more exciting than supposed to be.
More about the business, guys. Let's talk about the business. Okay, so tell me, why was midnight, June the 31st, 2012, the coldest night ever?
So part of not spending any money is finding office space where you can. So when we were kicked out of Google, I phoned up my friend Kate, who runs the creamery, and I said to her, can I exist in your space? Can I sit at a desk in a corner somewhere? She was like, cool, come. 500 Rand a month rent. So the creamery became our head office for 4 years.
4 years.
So I sat there amongst people making ice cream.
And you never got free ice cream?
I got it like once or twice. And Marc would come see me, and we'd have meetings, and we'd pretend we were a company using earphones, to have teleconference calls.
Yeah, we used to pretend, one thing we did for, I think, TechCrunch, we pretended we turned their office into our office and put textbooks up, and meanwhile, just a little desk in the corner. But that particular night on the 30th, it was, so we have to update the tax return each year. So the day before tax season opened, so we started at midnight when SARS released the new return. I think we worked about 7-8 hours in this freezing cold in the middle of winter office space, trying to update the return. In an ice cream factory with no food. There's a McDonald's around the corner. Evan's vegetarian, so there's even a smaller option. It was a lot of fun.
And if you've eaten McDonald's fries like 3 hours later on a winter night, they're not recognized.
Dipped in ice cream.
They're definitely not good. Okay, so how did you guys survive not having a salary?
So I personally had a very tiny side business hosting websites, which kept me going. I also personally just got used to like not buying stuff.
Save money, don't buy.
I'm very good at just not buying stuff.
Keep it lean, right?
Not the best strategy, but
I had a bit like the side accounting work, side tax work, kind of just do what you need to do to survive. If you want to build your business, it's kind of what you have to do.
Yeah.
And now that you guys have got an established business, 5 years on, what is it different? Is it easier? Are you able to afford what you wanted to do, or do you still run with a lean mindset?
So, I still don't buy stuff. But
besides flashy lights.
I bought a new shoe.
Just one.
But generally everything that we purchase, we want to like scrutinize and make sure that we're actually spending this money for a purpose.
Right?
It's important because, taking investment and then suddenly you have money, you don't go jump and just like now spend on everything that you wanted to spend. So you still make sure that everything is affordable because, we have great staff and they're all here tonight with us. And now they're part of the TaxTim family. So you asked if it's easier. It's different. I wouldn't say necessarily easier, maybe harder in some
Got more stuff to do now.
Yeah, more stuff to do. But you've got to look after, make sure that the whole company keeps going. So that's the most important thing. So we make sure just to buy everything that we need to buy. But it is a lot better than it was before.
You said the TaxTim family. You've got this character, Tim, and you've built a business around that. How did you come up with that idea? How did you come up with the name in the first place? Let's start there.
That's a story we tell, but it's not very interesting. Basically, it was called Tax Bob, which is horrible, and then Tax Helper, which is also horrible. And then one day I typed into Google intelligent-sounding English names, and at the top of the list was Tim. I was like, cool, .com is free. Let's book this. It alliterates. It's done.
So you Googled for your name.
But we had an investor named Tim as well. So
he was very excited.
Yeah, he was excited. But I've had people come up to me in like the weirdest places in the waterfront. Aren't you Tim from TaxTim? And people call me Tim all the time. They think I look like Tim.
Yeah. My neighbor calls me Tim.
They followed you,
Yeah.
Okay, tell us that story. Now you got to tell us.
So my friends bought me a TaxTim number plate for laughs for my 30th birthday. So it's on my vehicle. It has ups and downs. The downside is that I can't interject into parking anymore. I have to park really well all the time. Once I was driving through Epping to go buy electronics, and Shakira happened to be playing on the radio, and I was singing along like any man would. And somebody caught me singing along to the little part where she goes, "Ow!" And they were canning themselves at me. So I felt like a real ambassador for my company driving past as this happened. But yeah, I was sitting at home once a Saturday in the closed estate where I live, where the public shouldn't be able to access, and people knocked on my door and they're like, "Oh, is this where Tim lives?" So I thought they were here to show me the RP5 or something terrifying. So I said, no, he doesn't live here. They're like, "Oh, because we saw the number plate." It's like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Yeah, I sort of work there." And like, "Oh, yeah, I did make it. Look at these press releases." And then had a conversation, but it was strange. Yeah.
So and actually building the brand around Tim.
Yeah.
Did you guys like? Okay, cool. We got this name, TaxTim. Let's build a brand around it, or was it just like per fluke that you just happened to go this way? Or
I think the idea is there are tax practitioners. There's ourselves. We wanted to do something a bit different. It's a conversation that everyone can have and kind of pick a character that's friendly and approachable in this very scary topic or difficult thing that people are doing. So kind of build around that Tim becomes the go-to person to ask about your taxes. And from a branding point of view, you can build that up and kind of everyone knows about Tim instead of this company that may have 10, 12, 15, 20 people working for it. I think that works.
Yeah.
Okay. And you guys got investment recently by MMI.
Yeah.
Tell us about that process.
So you know the start.
Yeah, so I mean, I went on a trip to Israel actually for an entrepreneurial trip, and I think we were on that rooftop. And I met a guy who was on the trip with us. He introduced us to a team at RMB that they were looking to invest in startups in their sort of accelerator. Kind of took us across through that process. Met up their CEO. We were very late for a meeting. Evan was running in Sandton. I was trying to find parking.
Sprinting.
It was very scary. And you know, we kind of got introduced to the right people, and we went through meeting after meeting. I mean, it's a year. The whole process lasted about a year and a bit, but eventually we kind of, you know, found the right partner that would work with us and kind of provide the best guidance and everything. It was a very long, difficult process, kind of just by luck, by kind of taking advantage of opportunities and just meeting the right people. So I mean, events like tonight are great because this is where it kind of all happens.
But I mean, I think the reason why they were interested in us is not because what we're doing now, but what we can do in 3 years' time. So the guy we actually met with was the chief strategist for the company, and he was very interested in our vision for the future, and that's kind of what sold him. It was like, these guys are doing great things now, but what can they do? And that was great for us to find someone who's as interested in our vision.
What is your vision for the future?
Tax, of course.
Everywhere.
So I mean, our whole goal, the name of the company is actually Human Robot. So it's not TaxTim, and the goal there is to take a human element and kind of help everyone at the same time and make things that really shouldn't, especially for us, where we see SARS and that, and something that's really difficult, and make it really simple, because things shouldn't be as hard as they currently are. And if there's an easier way of doing it, then we want to be the guys in the company and the family, and Tim and his family and offshoot that can actually help people. So that's kind of like the ultimate goal through.
Oh, so tax is
different
the
channels.
start of it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
But I mean, TaxTim's built to be multi-platform. It was multilingual in 2012, and then we turned off the languages because only English people were using it. Multi-language capable, multi-platform. We've launched it in 2 countries. We want to do the rest of Africa. We want to do.
Okay, so now that you've nailed South Africa, you now want to start going into those other emerging markets.
Yeah.
Would you go into established markets at all, first world countries? And
I think that there's quite an established. I wouldn't say similar to TaxTim. I mean, in the States, there's something called TurboTax. We kind of pitch ourselves similar to TurboTax, but in emerging markets where there's a need for increased tax collection, digital growth, and that's kind of where we fit. So we already are in Namibia. We turned their paper returns into electronic forms, and countries like that. So more emerging markets, as opposed to trying to break a market which already exists. Kind of, you don't want to reinvent something.
There's people with a lot more money in those markets.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, it's difficult to compete.
Yeah.
But also the emerging markets are trying to increase the tax revenue. So these are governments that are willing to work with companies to increase that base. So there's more of a need, actually.
You're saying integrating like you did in Namibia, like you did with SARS. How did you guys, I mean, how many companies are firstly integrated with SARS, if you know, but how did you guys get that right?
Is it what, 6 or something?
I think it's 6 or 7. I mean, we're the only not tax consumer, but the like kind of front-facing taxpayer integration. I mean, that's 3.5 years of impossible
So I mean,
work.
initially we managed to wheedle up a meeting through a person at an airport at a last minute found, and we sat in a room with 6 people from SARS, and they blatantly told us that this can't be done at all. It doesn't exist. There's no connection for external parties to connect into SARS at all.
We didn't believe them.
So we just didn't believe them. And then I just
Really,
kind of,
I don't believe you. Okay,
so we found the right person.
Yeah, I
to
just
do
bothered
it,
people on LinkedIn until someone useful responded.
So you guys created the opportunity.
Yeah.
Sniffed it, found it.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Tax isn't exactly a sexy topic. Is it tough sell for marketing?
I'm sure we
By
can
anonymous.
We would be able to answer.
We come up here.
It's the thing is, even though it's not sexy topic, it's not at all, but it's something that everyone has to do, everyone needs. And so if you can work on that angle and you can kind of say that what you're trying to do is help the person do something, or a business, of what they have to do and make that easier, and you sell it that way. So that's the sort of avenue that we try
but
and take.
I wouldn't advise anyone start a business around something that people do once a year that they hate and are terrified of. Just sell ice cream.
Yeah.
Sell something that people can just eat and enjoy.
Yeah, there's an ice cream seller.
Yeah, there you go. He comes
Just
to
a
a lot of
better,
events.
better business model.
You won't bring ice cream, though.
I know, Andrew, we still want some ice cream, man. Seriously, dude. Next one, okay. Actually, speaking of ice creams and Andrews, and why do you go to the movies so much?
Well, I go to the movies so much because I love a popcorn. I know movies are great. They're awesome.
I believe you go quite frequently.
Yeah, it's a great way to get away. I love stories and kind of when you're working at your desk and at your computer so often. And I've always just loved TV and stuff. So it's just a cool way to see your sci-fi things and kind of have popcorn.
I like it.
You can make popcorn at home.
No. There's nothing like the movie popcorn when it's fresh.
Correct me wrong, was it Old Mutual? Which company did you guys that came on board and helped you with growing your user base?
So
You mean our recent investor?
Yes.
MMI Holdings.
Yeah. So Momentum.
Oh, Momentum.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So I mean, we didn't want to just take a chunk of money from some random VC or something. We wanted a company that actually has a distribution channel to people who are interested in this kind of thing, people who are thinking in a financial space. So that's why Momentum was useful to us. They've got a whole financial wellness drive. They've got a variety of tools that they're trying to get people to engage with.
Yeah, because I mean,
so we kind of fit into that.
And because otherwise you can just take money and kind of, if you've got a great product, that's cool. But if you can't sell it and you've got nowhere to distribute it, whatever it is, and it is hard to sell as it is. So you kind of need to find that strategic partner or the right kind of complementary business. And what's been great is that we are able to work with other partners as well in the same space. And I think that's also helped us. So we're going to have Sanlam and other financial partners as well.
Oh, that's actually cool. How was it adjusting working with this corporate company?
It feels like a very tiny gear meshed with like a very large gear, which moves really slowly and doesn't listen to you.
And it's slower than that.
It's funny how they do strange things. Like we'll plan an email and we'll send it within a day. They'll plan an email for 2 months later, and then they'll send it 2 months later. And they won't consult with us as to what it says, even though it's our business.
But I mean, that's the dangers of corporate, I guess. As a small startup, you're nimble. I mean, there's 7 of us, and we're able to decide it within a room that we all sit facing one another. But when you get to 10,000 people kind of all signing off, but that comes with the advantages as well. So it's your pros and cons.
So there's basically, I think at Sanlam there's like 50 people who are dealing with this integration we're doing, and there's me and John working on the integration on our side.
Like, you want to do this? Yes, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. And they've got their like checklists and militant style rubrics and scoring matrices.
We'll be like that one day, though.
Great.
Danger,
Do you ever want to be a massive, big corporate company?
No, I'd rather be small and doing really well. Be in like several countries.
Yeah, you get that sort of like turn. You kind of want to be there before you fall off on your ability to be productive.
What would you advise someone with a tech idea to immediate after getting home tonight?
I would advise them to try prototype it as quick as they can and see if they can sell it. Don't try to build. Don't spend huge amounts of money trying to build something and then try to launch it. Rather build a fake version of it, lean methodology style. That's the shirt I'm wearing. I'm not just showing my shirt. And see if people will buy your product, because people can have a million ideas, but can you actually sell it? That's the question. So rather create like a fake homepage, a fake app, an app which looks like your app, and then take it to people and be like, what do you think of this? Do you think it would work? Do you think you'd actually pay for this? And once you have got people who are interested, you can tweak it a bit, take it back to them, take it to other people, and get something that's really exciting, and then you build that. Don't bother spending ages building it.
So validate your ideas, tweak it, and start tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
While you've got a real job. Don't
Don't do it before you quit your job. Yeah. Make sure this thing actually works. We can turn to some questions now. So if anybody got some questions, get them ready. Equity or debt funding, which would you prefer?
It's a tricky one because debt funding is cheaper than equity funding. Do you want to go and borrow some money and kind of hope that you're relying on your business to do well and you can pay it back? Or do you want to give away your business? So it all depends on what strings are attached. So like with us, we gave away some equity and we were able to get the right partner, strategic partner, good distribution channels. You're just going to give away equity necessarily to a VC. What are they going to give you in return? So it's always, I think, on the finer details. But if you really believe in your idea and you want to go into huge amounts of debt and you know it's going to work and you're going to keep the whole pie, that I think ideally would probably be the best. It depends on your appetite, though, because it can be quite scary if you do run out of money.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? Right in front, Maeve, and then, so you first and then the guy in the blue shirt at the back. Oh yeah, there we go. There we go, Maeve is coming with it. There we go. Go for it.
How do you guys keep yourself relevant? Like, how do you like put yourselves out there for more people to come back and actually ask for more advice, like to feel more at ease with songs? What do you like do on a regular basis?
How do we attract people and keep them at ease with the process? So I mean, the best strategy that we've found to actually just keep people coming to our website and not have to spend money on it is we've just created tons and tons of tax content on our website. And we basically used a user-generated content strategy for this. So if anyone asks a tax question of us, we turn it into a tax article. And now we've got about 7,000 tax articles out there, which
8,000.
people will find. Yeah, because Marc's answered all of them. And these things bring in people organically, like we're not paying for those eyeballs. But people find stuff that's relevant to them and then kind of come across our brand. But in general, to keep people comfortable throughout the process, we've kind of kept a very minimal, clean design. We try to avoid tax terminology if we ever have to use such horrible language that Marc understands. We click on it, there's little definitions which pop up. We keep the text very short. TaxTim's always smiling, he's never frowning.
And he blinks every now and then.
Yeah, and I think people are comforted by the interactivity of our product. It's not just, read this blurb, get done. It actually asks you things, so you almost feel as if TaxTim's a human being. It says TaxTim is typing underneath when he's doing stuff.
Because we tax for the taxpayer, whereas SARS are
for
tax for the revenue service and all those problems that come with that.
Okay, a question at the back there.
Hi. I can imagine tax freaks me out, by the way, completely. I've got a very nice tax practitioner that helps me out. So my tax life has been easy. But in terms of developing something, how did you guys know when you were ready to launch? How did you know you were done? Your product was mature enough. I've got all the what-if scenarios covered in the tax world.
We had 2 days left of tax season, so we just launched as soon as we could.
And I wasn't in the country, so
Marc wasn't in the country, so we just turned it on. But we launched it for free, so people couldn't complain if it did something wrong.
And it was limited as well. There were certain things that we didn't do.
There's certain things that we cut out. So we made a very lean, minimal product. But in 2 days from nothing, 120 people used it and rated us really highly. So every bit of feedback that they gave us, we then used to evolve it.
And I think going back to the first question, that's exactly what we do. So we take the feedback constantly on a daily basis and kind of iterate the whole process so that we do stay relevant, that people are interested in what do you guys want as taxpayers, then we'll write about it. But that we just kind of launched and went from there.
Yeah.
So the question is telling us, easy on the insults of SARS.
Who's insulting SARS?
Nobody's insulting
Is this
SARS.
one?
No,
Nobody.
SARS
none
are
of us.
brilliant.
Any other questions? Any other questions? Oh, here we go. Marika.
Hi. Sorry, on a technical tax question. I'm a tax practitioner, so I'm wanting to know from you. Your team, TaxTim Tax Family, are they all registered tax practitioners?
So we've got myself and Nikki who are registered practitioners. Alicia, who also works with us, work under us as practitioners, so you can sign a mandate to that, but no one else answers any tax questions. Okay. But obviously within the firm, as the practitioner on record, we can mandate that to whoever's working with us.
So the person sitting on this side of the app or the website completing the form is actually talking to one of the tax practitioners?
Well, essentially, you're not talking to the person, you're talking to Tim, and that's already been built. So those questions are, you're answering the questions. And so at the end of it, the tax practitioner, which would be myself on record, would file the return, but it's done by the system. So my name is on each tax return that goes to SARS. Yeah.
And did you register TaxTim? I can't imagine that you registered TaxTim as a tax practitioner.
You can't register.
Exactly.
You can't register a company as a practitioner. So it must be an individual.
So you are the tax practitioner of TaxTim.
Yeah.
There we go. Some technical information. Thank you. How do you ensure confidentiality of clients' data?
So, I mean, in terms of protection of personal information, if data is ever shared with any third party, which so far it hasn't, companies like MMI have expressed interest in sharing our data with them for their various financial wizardry purposes. But whenever the data would be shared, we've got an explicit opt-in. And to be properly compliant, you've got to explain what you're using that data for. Like this data will be used for financial insights or something like that. Will be shared with this party for this purpose, and they have to click into that. So we store that opt-in with a timestamp, and that's how we prove that people are willing to share it with that party, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, in terms of the taxpayer information, that obviously never leaves our confines either. As practitioners, we are able to do whatever we need to do with the tax information to file a tax return, but that doesn't get shared out anywhere. We don't offer any other services for people. So purely, we take as if we were an actual tax practice, like a normal standard tax practice, and kind of follow those same rules as well, obviously.
We're also hosted on Amazon's Elastic Cloud, which has got the same level of security as the Pentagon. Which is
that's good to know.
And we've been through SARS is, of course, rigorous. The integration is so rigorous that anything that it can't kind of breach that. So you have to meet certain standards in order to have that integration. So they wouldn't trust us.
In order to have that integration, you have to be at that level. Which,
and any of our partners as well. I mean, going through like audits with PwC for Namibia and all of that. So I think that's probably the most important thing, to make sure that our taxpayers feel comfortable and trust us. And that's the most important.
No, for sure, it's the data. Having all that, having that security level on AWS and stuff, is that where your investors came on and assisted with funding that? Because that could not have been cheap.
So actually, AWS for the starting layer is quite cheap. You can whip up a very tiny little box, like a 486 from the 90s, for something like 150 Rand a month or something like that.
Okay.
But yeah, in the beginning, I didn't know about scalability. I didn't know about AWS. But one of our investors, thanks to Google, was Willem van Biljon, who invented AWS, which is quite nice. That's why he endorsed that product. And he kind of sat me down for 30 minutes and said a whole bunch of things, and I didn't understand any of them, so I just wrote them down. And then I spent 3 months unpacking what he said, and then built a scalable system.
So when you guys started, you weren't at a scalable. You were like, oh, we're a WordPress website. This is cool.
Yeah.
And then a few months later, wait, guys, we need to think differently about this.
Yeah. It was hosted on my little experimental server in America. We're like, no, let's move this to Ireland. Let's put it on an actual AWS server. Yeah.
And those students from UJ, which sort of all those students from UJ causing a lot of trouble. Students tend to always submit their project at the last minute, so that was interesting learning as to how we.
Yeah, we've had great scalability testing from our student projects because they hand in at that time.
On that time, right. So did you unpack it, and did you get help into, learning how to integrate with AWS and put it on the systems and blah, 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 or did you literally just spend hours and hours Googling and figuring it out? And
yeah, like a monkey at a typewriter, just hitting keys until
you just put the hours in.
Yeah. But it was about 3 months, and then the end of the 3 months is like a one-page Word document which explains what I did, so I can now do it much quicker. But yeah.
Okay, any other questions? There we go. Where's Maeve?
Hi guys.
Okay.
Hey.
Hi. Just a quick one on your travels through the continent of Africa, trying to take your business to other. On a scale of 1 to 10, where do you think our SARS security controls are in comparison to other companies? Or to other countries? I would think that you'd want to cookie cut your product into other countries on the continent. But where do we stand as SARS in terms of our processes, security, controls?
So I think SARS, are 10 times, 100 times better than any other country on the continent. Maybe Mauritius be a bit different, but generally the forward planning of SARS and the online and e-filing and all of that is 100 times better. If you go to most other African countries, you see paper returns, you see, their revenue collection is very bad for a number of reasons. So SARS have really done a huge amount of work to work in South Africa. I know that some other countries, their revenue services don't necessarily want to work with SARS for various reasons. But definitely what's helped us is to be able to integrate into SARS, to kind of work with SARS, take a lot of learnings, and see what works well here, and kind of use that in the rest of the continent as well. And I think the same type of system can work in any other country where you've got a strong revenue authority and a strong system and an external system as well, kind of working together.
Okay, there's another question of those two. There we go.
Hi guys, thank you for your inspiring story.
Hey, thanks.
It's actually quite funny. I'm the co-founder of the Dutch TaxTim.
Oh, crazy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, welcome. We should have a beer.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And don't worry, we just sold it last week, so we share all your information. My biggest question, also my biggest challenge, was to give people insight in the added value of the system itself. So people, they don't know anything about taxes, they don't know anything about the advantage you're going to get by using your system. Did you ever think of providing a no cure, no pay to your clients?
And sorry, I know.
So I know some companies are thinking about, okay, so do your taxes on your own, and difference TaxTim can make up for as an advantage, that's the amount we're going to ask your percentage of. Did you ever think of programming a pricing model like that?
I think when you start charging especially in South Africa, we've got the issues of fraud and the issues of there are a lot of people who are doing tax returns at a percentage and things like that when it's not, and there are funny things that go on. And the minute you start to potentially say we can do better or for an amount and we'll give you this amount back or something like that, and you start to add those sort of monetary values, you start to run the risk of is this a legitimate business? And so we looked at all of that and said, what's the best way of doing it? And kind of promoting that we will make sure that you get that maximum refund and pay us a small fee for that, but we're going to make sure that you're fully compliant and you have the best advantage. And kind of a lot for security reasons, I think, as well. But as we move around the continent, we will look at a different way because each country, I think, is different.
So the price is always fixed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Very good. There was a lady, other question. There we go.
Yeah, hi. Tax has been, Tax and I have been on an interesting journey as a business owner because there's lovely things like SDL that you only realize you even have to pay when it's too late and they're charging you penalties. And then, of course, penalties that they charge you when you're a day late that you don't even know that they're going to do, for about 2 years. And it doesn't matter how many times you email them and ask them to waive the penalty because, please, I'm a startup and this is just a lot of information to know when you're growing so fast. That never seems to work either. So I guess my question is, how does TaxTim, at the moment, does TaxTim help businesses as well, startup companies with tax? Because there's just so many problems in the first 3 to 4 years, and you don't have the money to hire permanent accountants or staff, so you end up hiring like someone to spend a couple of hours to help you, and yeah, so I was actually wondering if TaxTim helps businesses as well, and if it doesn't, is that part of your strategy in the future?
Do you want to?
Yeah, we're launching on October 3rd, the micro business. So up to $1 million turnover, and then we'll release a small business up to 14 million towards the end of October.
Yeah, well, that's a great idea because I could really have used that.
And what we're trying to do there is to really kind of take accounting, which a lot of people are still using a different package, and we're working with a lot of the accounting companies, software, or if you're just using Excel, whatever it is, and really take that and we do all the work from the tax elements. And as we're building it and as we're putting in more and more parts of the product, to kind of give you, again, the best advantage and the best way of working your taxes, but us letting the system do it for you. And you were speaking about SDL, the reminders. That's what we're good at. Sending reminders, sending information, building information, so you always know what you need to do, when you need to do it, and kind of avoiding all those penalties.
Oh. But I mean, in terms of missing out on certain things, when there's thresholds or certain rules or limits, we've got like an automated return check system. So it would say, oh, has your income exceeded this? Why didn't you fill in the SDL section? And then it'll take you back there and say, you need to fill this in now. So yeah, we help with trying to avoid any kind of penalties that might pop up.
And you've just given me an idea now for something extra, so thank you.
There we go. This is what we're about. Helping each other. I like this. Does your product work for business as well? Is it simple? Okay. Okay, well, it's basically the same answer question. Any other questions out there? Okay, so one at the back, and then we can come to him.
The question is, have you thought of white labeling the service so that other tax practitioners can actually use it for themselves?
We've white labeled in Namibia for PwC because it's like a co-branding joint venture. But for practitioners, yeah, we're trying to think of a model that's the most generic, so it'll work for practitioners, for brokers, for financial advisors, and give them certain permissions so they can do things like look over the tax return, review it, give interactive help, things like that. But yeah, that's something that we're busy building a model around.
Yeah, because each practitioner, each broker, financial advisor wants something different. So we're kind of working out exactly what the best formula is for the small practitioners, for the brokers who actually want something like that, instead of just here's something that you don't need, we're going to charge you for it.
Yeah.
That we think works. So, yeah.
It sounds like a lot of development. How big is your development team?
It's me and John.
Not big enough.
Wow. Okay, good luck, guys.
Thanks.
Okay, the question in front here. So would you break out from SaaS to other products?
Yeah, so I mean, we've started to have those discussions this year about what we can use our kind of conversation engine for. So I mean, any huge amount of legislation or knowledge or information, you can navigate it far easier via an interactive conversation because you just skip out all that irrelevant stuff. So people have spoken to us about medical applications, about government applications. I mean, yeah, we even discussed like HR complaints, like has your staff member done this? No, this, that. Yeah, there's lots of information you can store in that way.
Tim wants to have his own family and grow his sort of product base.
Okay, that's pretty cool. It's like an artificial intelligence sitting behind there.
I think the thing is, I mean, here we are having a conversation and there are questions. It should be as simple as that. It shouldn't be about filling out forms. The forms are there just for admin purposes, but everything should be in a really easy manner.
Yeah. The future is not reading huge documents, it's interrogating the document based on things you don't know. So that's a far better way to assimilate content.
Cool. Tweet that. Okay, one last question. Anybody? Here we go, right here. Mavy's coming around, she's running. There she goes. This is what our sponsors do for us. Gotta love them. Thank you.
Hi guys.
Hi.
So besides the universities, how did you guys start getting traction for your service?
How do we start getting traction?
Yeah, like your marketing aspect at the beginning.
Don't ever do flyers. Don't do a flyer campaign. That doesn't work for an online business. But I mean, we basically, so apart from generating tons of content, in our first year we actually used PR, it was like an 8,000 Rand retainer, and you just pay people to get you into the press, which is really good because we were on like CNBC Africa, Al Jazeera, Forbes magazine, Entrepreneur, all these ridiculous titles in our first year. And they kind of crafted a narrative around us and our story. Here these guys fighting this, huge government machine. And that was very sexy to the media. So we got all this great press. I got to meet Rudy Klabi, which is very exciting for me. And we got a lot of credibility that way. I mean, you walked into a meeting, they're like, oh, I just saw you on the cover of
some magazine. I mean, I think, it's to create a sort of authority. I mean, this was the advice given to us by our first post-Google investors, sort of become an authority on the topic that you're talking about. I mean, it's tax, so there is that professionalism. And go and speak, go and meet, go and kind of get your name out there. And that people, when there's a tax topic, they'll phone you from the radio and ask your opinion about it, and everyone will hear your name. Otherwise, we grew organically for 4 years.
Yeah,
by our
just doubling each year from having tons of content.
Yeah.
But yeah, PR is a great little hack to like get yourself exciting.
So do you go to a PR company, and which company? Do you know which companies to go to, or do you just ask your friends?
Suggested to us.
Yeah, it was suggested to us, but they've closed now.
Yeah, they're closed.
Yeah. But I mean, you just need someone who's good at bothering journalists, who can get their contact details and they'll be like, hey, have you printed our story? Have you printed our story?
Just bother them over.
Yeah, if there are any journalists in the room, we have a story for you.
And then there's quite a lot of money to spend as a startup. Do you guys go make a decision, right? That is that we're going to spend this amount of money. We're not going to eat this month, but at least we can get into those articles.
It was so important for us to build the credibility, given that we're dealing with tax. I mean, the question about security of information, I'm a CA, tax professional. It's so important to build that so that people trust you and come and use your service. Otherwise, you are selling something that if no one trusts you, no one is going to use that. And so that the PR was definitely the budget. We had to go for that versus just online marketing where if they don't trust you but they know of you, are they going to use you?
Okay. I mean, the PR is still paying off. Marc still gets called for Cape Talk when there's a question. He goes on there and fields old people's queries.
Only old people.
I love it. Okay, guys, thank you very, very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Cool. So we've got the Twitter competition. Are you speaking ready? Marwan. Okay, well, there goes that.
Okay, winners for tonight. Let's see. We got a lot of cool tweets. We've got some funny tweets as well from regular characters that we always have here at our events. Okay. So the runner-up for this evening is Herman. Your tweets are funny, but there are other people who have better tweets.
Oh, snap.
For 3 occasions.
Okay. So while TaxTim was talking about them working in an ice cream factory, Herman has this idea that tax people are like computers. they work better in a cold environment.
That's terrible. I love the sun.
Done.
That's very good.
You were also talking about how selling something that people want is a much better business model than trying to sell something that people don't want. So Herman's putting out a pitch that he's going to create a tax consultancy that also sells ice cream. And if you want to chat to him about it, you can find him after the event. But the winner for tonight is Deirdre Johnson. Deirdre had quite a lot of good tweets this evening. Some of them funny, some of them not so funny, and some of them really good. She said that it's so awesome that TaxTim built a business outside the rules of normal business. They built something that was limited to South Africa for now, which a lot of people say don't do, especially to startups. And also they were choosing a business that has a specific season. So it's a seasonal business, but you proved over 5 years that it's actually a working and running business. That's a great tweet and a really great insight. Let's pull up another one over here. Let's see. Oh, and Deirdre also said, listening to TaxTim and the platform that you've built, is there a button that she can press that just says, I want to pay the least tax possible?
Yes, it says start.
So Deirdre, thank you so much. You're the winning tweeter tonight.
Okay, here we go. Just that one, eh? Where's Deirdre? There we go. Come up. There we go. Thank you very much. And Herman. So we got a prize for you. Okay, now, Deirdre. There we go. There we go. So what you do is you get to win a half an hour tax consultancy with these guys, and also a license for an entire tax season with TaxTim. There you go. So you guys will be meeting later?
Cool.
Yeah. There we go. Well done. And Herman, I'm sorry, man, you've got to go on something. So you get a year or a tax season of TaxTim for free. There we go. Awesome. Okay. What's cool is TaxTim have been really cool. They've got a very cool marketing agency as well. So if you look under your
In-house
chair,
team.
In-house team.
Employees, family.
Family, love it. So we can do the Oprah style thing. Look under your seats. And there are 3 cards for 3 lucky winners that'll get a year of
it's not a car, it's not a car.
A consultant, what's it? A year of TaxTim.
TaxTim vouchers for your business.
Tax made bearable.
Yeah.
There we go. Who won? Who's got? Has anybody got? There we go. There's one there.
Oh, good.
Very good. Venture Burn. They'll be writing about that. That's great. Somebody else. There's 3, eh? Look under the chair next to you. Maybe. Have they stolen them already and ran off?
See, tax is exciting. Everyone's smiling and laughing and like searching.
There's also Mini Cooper somewhere.
Okay. So this is the business card draw. Oops, sorry. There we go. So can you please choose a business card? There we go. So Novaza, it's Michael Andrew. Who's Michael Andrew? There we go. Come up, man. You get a awesome Standard Bank hamper. It's quite heavy, so watch out. There we go. Awesome. Thank you very much. Thanks, Michael. Okay, so that's Michael. And then, we do another one of these for you.
I'll pick. Ooh.
Who's here from
Someone put a SARS card in there.
Yeah, I want to meet him.
Tekala, Davin the Koshi. Did I get it right? Yeah, sorry, man. Cool, there we go. And a Standard Bank hamper for you. There we go, guys. Thank you very much. And then I just want to check if, because Brian's got his prize from last month. Brian, email me. And then is there Romy Rycroft? Romy Rycroft here today? Or a Natalie McMichael? Natalie McCall? Nobody? All right, okay. So guys, thank you very much. You guys get the fruit cube.
Oh, awesome.
There you go. So this is for your office. Yes, for the family. You get this one, and then we'll be delivering another one next week as well. So thank you for the fruit cube. They deliver fresh fruit to your offices.
That's really cool.
Thanks, Fruit Cube.
There we go. Wow. That's very cool. And then, Adelaide, of course, Adelaide. Sorry. So many prizes. Jeez. I should be a member here. Okay.
I'll keep this short, I promise. Sarka Svoboda? Yeah, you've won yourself 3 months at our office space. So come chat to me afterwards, all right? I'm not going to say anything else except apparently wet t-shirt competition to keep cold in summer.
I'm not going to go there.
It's just you.
Okay. The other thing I want to say is that your lanyards, when you go outside now, there's a little hanger. Please put your lanyards on the hanger, and in about 10 or so minutes, these guys will be drawing for another prize off your lanyards. Those red things, which I haven't got on. Okay, guys, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Get the music, some food outside, enjoy the networking. See you guys next month at Zuna on the 17th of October. They got funded, $15 million of funding. So let's hear their story.